Hey everybody, it's me Zach, this is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. So today's video is a little bit different than what I traditionally do on my channel. While I am obviously like the center point to this channel and very much this channel is about me, it's also not about me in a lot of ways. Like when it comes to like my personal life, I occasionally do stuff on here where I talk about myself or do things about myself, but I will also say I'm like very intentionally not like a vlogging channel, right? Like people have been like, oh, do vlogs, do vlogs. And it's just like, no, like I'm not. I mean, like in my early days of my channel when I was like trying to figure out who or what I was, I did vlogs. Like if you go real far back onto my channel, there are vlogs. But like in more recent years, I very intentionally have not vlogged my life because I have just wanted this to be a space that wasn't about like my personal life. Like I very much like to keep my my own boundaries in terms of not sharing everything about my life and my YouTube channel not being about my life. With that being said, I still think it's like important to acknowledge that like who I am and the various like identities that I hold and things like that very much like impact how I go about making content. It impacts the types of things I react to, the types of things I do on this channel, and as such, I feel like it's relevant for me to discuss a little bit about myself and what's going on in my life. In particular, I felt like a little bit of a block creatively when it comes to like putting out YouTube content. Part of that's because like a big chunk of what I've been doing for the past like month or two has been related to the 1,000 Pound Sisters, which I really enjoyed covering that show. I think y'all enjoyed me covering it, or I hope you did. And so it's just like sometimes when one thing comes to an end, it's like, okay, I've been doing that, like what am I gonna keep doing? But another thing that's kind of like kept me at a block is that I have been thinking about doing this particular video for a very long time. I've been thinking a lot about it because almost every day, I won't say every day, but almost every day, I get some kind of comment on some video. Sometimes it's really old videos, sometimes it's like the videos I just posted, but no matter what, usually almost every day I get some kind of comment about my gender or my gender expression or whoever, whatever. And I've never really talked a whole lot about gender on YouTube. I've talked a lot about being a gay person, a queer person, but I haven't talked a lot about gender. And that's because, well, that's because a lot of reasons, but all of these comments that just like kept coming in, keep coming in, just have me thinking about it and have it more relevant in my mind, even though it's been something that's been really salient to me my entire life. And I don't want to be in a place where I'm like giving attention to some of the comments that are like clearly negative, right? Like some people clearly are trying to say some shit just to like get me upset, make me mad, make an angry response or something like that. And I really have learned enough about YouTube to know that when you give things like that attention, it's like adding fuel to the fire, right? They're gonna take that and run with it. However, in a lot of ways, this has been just like really helpful to me to like reflect on like what's really truly going on. So let me just start by saying from like a young age, a very young age, like people being like my peers, my classmates, like in elementary school, grade school, middle school, whoever, whatever, people have said to me, hey, like you are a girl, you act like a girl, you do this, you do that. It was something that honestly people bullied me about more than like even saying, I mean, eventually that led to people saying like, oh, you're gay, you're this, you're that. But like from the get-go, it was always like, oh my gosh, Zach, you are a girl, you're portraying feminine characteristics, you're acting in a feminine way. And it was always really frustrating to me, and also something that like I did try really hard to like go the other direction from. Like I have no interest in sports, but I gave every single sport a try because to my peers, that was like what it meant to be a boy, right? It meant that you played baseball, you played softball, you played flag football. I never went further than flag football, but you did all of those things. And so I tried all of those things because honestly, not because I wanted to do them or that I didn't want to behave like a girl, but I did them because I wanted to like have the like teasing and tormenting to stop, right? Around that same time also, well, probably closer to like middle school is, you know, when things like puberty happen, and it's when I started to notice like attraction to guys and things like that, and I was like, wow, this is weird. Like, this is what girls are supposed to do, right? Like, girls are supposed to be attracted to other boys. Like, this is weird. Maybe I am like, maybe I am supposed to be a girl. And that was when I started confusing kind of like the concepts of sexual attraction and gender, right? Because in my head, the only people I knew that liked boys were girls. And so there was some time probably in middle school where I was like, am I supposed to be a girl? Is that like what's going on here? Is that what is happening? But eventually, I don't know, I think the first time I ever saw like actual gay people, because I grew up in like a real small town, right? Like I grew up in the middle of nowhere. In rural Illinois, very different than Chicago where I live now. And I had not seen gay folks. I had no exposure to it. And probably the first place I saw it was literally the Real World New Orleans, like the first one, like the original Real World New Orleans. And then eventually I also watched Survivor, which if you're a fan of Survivor like I am, the very first winner, he's not a great role model in a lot of ways, but the very first winner of Survivor ever was Richard Hatch, and he was a gay man. And I started seeing that there were gay people and what that meant, and I was like, that's me. That's me. And so if you ever wondered why I like have such an affinity towards reality TV, it's like because it's one of the first places I saw myself represented. And so I kind of like stopped worrying about like, oh, you might be a girl, because it's like, no, you're not. You just like the dudes, okay? You just like dudes. You're gay. It's fine. So things continued on, and you know, I was just trying to survive in high school, quite honestly, quite genuinely. And even really my undergraduate degree, I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to make it. I was just trying to be, I don't know, alive. I mean, quite honestly, I say that. I don't mean that facetiously. Like, I literally was just trying to make it. I was trying to get my education, just trying to find a place where I fit in, and I didn't think much more about my identity outside of like, I knew that I was attracted to men. So then I went to graduate school and I learned so much more about identity, and I went to graduate school in 2013 to 2015, and I think around then is when I became much more cognizant of trans identities. I mean, I definitely knew about them before then. I think the first time I ever saw a trans person on TV was Laverne Cox in Orange is the New Black. And I think that that's like what initially had piqued my interest of like, oh, this is a new identity I'm not familiar with, like, let me learn more about this. And certainly probably knew about it in other contexts, like drag before RuPaul's Drag Race, like, was very inclusive, and it still is. I guess what I should say is Drag Race is not inclusive of trans people, but drag itself was something that I was very interested in college, and I obviously had some connection to understanding trans identities and things like that through drag, but I didn't really know, and it wasn't probably until Laverne Cox got onto Orange is the New Black that I realized, like, oh, I want to learn more about what this is, and did more research. And then in grad school, like, I actually like met trans people, interacted with trans people, and my understanding of that as an identity and as who a person is became much more informed. And that's not to say that you should rely on trans people to educate you, because I certainly did a lot of work on my own, but it also does like impact how you see a community when you've actually like interacted with them, I guess is what I'm saying. So in grad school, I actually remember saying to a friend that like I thought I might be trans, or that I might be, I don't know, something other than a man, because I was just like, I just like don't feel like this is it. Like I obviously, I've lived my whole life having people tell me I'm not a man, or telling me that I'm not man enough, or that I am too girly or too feminine or this, that, the other. And I don't know, I did a lot of reflecting on things and was just like, no, I also definitely don't feel like I'm a woman. I can tell you that. Like, as much as like I don't feel like a man, I'm certainly not a woman either. Grad school happened, I got a job, I moved to Chicago, and then I really truly didn't think about it as much, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why is because even through college and graduate school, like I never really got to fully experience being like truly gay. Both of my colleges, I went to Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville and then Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And while both of those places are probably a bit more progressive than the surrounding areas that they're in, like, I didn't truly do a whole lot of gay things, especially in college and undergrad. I did, like, absolutely no gay things. And by gay things, I mean, like, be in a relationship with somebody who is a man, or, you know, go to gay bars or things like that. Like, undergrad, I did none of that. In college, I went to, like, the one gay bar that was in Bloomington, Indiana frequently, and I had gay friends. Like, prior to graduate school, I only had, like, a whole bunch of straight friends, I mean, to be quite honest with you. Once I moved to Chicago, I had some friends that were already here, but I said, listen, when I make new friends, I'm gonna exclusively try to just, like, make friends with gay people, because I've lived my whole life not interacting with queer folks for the most part. Like, I mean, here and there, whoever, whatever, but for the most part, that was my experience. And so I just wanted to create a network of people who had similar identities as me and who understood like my previous experiences in life. And so when I got to Chicago, it was just like, listen, I'm gonna be gay AF. I'm gonna do all the gay things. I'm gonna be all the gay people. And so I was really just focused on like exploring that aspect of my identity. And certainly there are layers of like gender and sexuality that overlap. And so I guess you could say I was probably also learning about my own gender and gender expression and things like that. And so all of that has kind of landed me here to where I'm now like very much comfortable and doing things that may not be like manly, right? Like I wear nail polish a lot, right? I'm wearing lip gloss, although I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you could still tell that, but I do all of these things. I pierced my ears. These were all things that I wanted to do as a kid growing up. I wanted to get my ears pierced so badly, and I was told no by my parents for whatever reason. And the most I would ever paint my nails growing up was I would take my mom's clear nail polishes and paint my nails. I would never do a color, but I would take the clear ones. Like, people wouldn't be able to tell that my nails were shiny, right? And I would paint them that way. But now I'm just doing stuff that I feel comfortable doing when it comes to expressing who I am. And the reality is after a lot of reflection, you know, for a long time I've taken pride in being a man who does things that are like not traditionally for men, okay? So that's, I guess that's the way to put it, is that's how I've like just identified in the things I've taken pride in. But the reality is that like, when I was younger, there was no, well, there might have been, but I was not aware of language like being gender nonconforming or being gender fluid or being non-binary. I think if there had been language like that, I probably would have adopted that language and that terminology to describe myself from a younger age. And so I think, I mean, I'm not old by any means, okay? Let's also say that. I'm only 32. But I think now, after 32 years of life, the best way to describe my identity to whoever, whatever, is that I am a non-binary human. And if you don't know what non-binary is, it's basically, I mean, my understanding, again, I'm speaking from like my own personal understanding, experience, etc. But for me, being non-binary means I'm neither gender, but I'm both genders. I'm all the genders. I'm whoever, I'm whatever. Because we think of, when we think of the word binary in terms of gender, the binary is man, woman. But the reality is I'm neither of those things, but I'm also both of those things. Also, whoever, whatever. And so I think it's just like a fitting term because there's so many people that are in my comments that want me to fit into one or the other of those things, but I really truly don't feel like I fit into either. And it's interesting because a lot of people will be like, well, Zach, your organs tell us a different story. Like, your organs say that you're this. And I'm like, yeah, sure, sure. But my organs say that, but like society has been telling me for a long time that like, I'm not man enough, right? I'm not. You know, if I said I was a woman, there would be people that said, well, no, you're not because your organs don't tell you. So like, I just feel like truly all of the confusion in my comments is what solidified for me. Like, oh, these people that are like, oh, what are you? Are you transitioning? Are you this? Are you that? Are you the other? Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And even if you meant it in a rude way, or you were trying to troll me, or you were trying to get some kind of response, I just want to say those questions are what led me here. That's how I got here. That's where I am. So I am a non-binary human person, and you could still use he, him pronouns for me. I will also take they, them if you would like. And that's kind of like where I'm at. And I'm hoping that, you know, being able to say all of this out loud in a video now will help me just in being more confident moving forward, and help me in being more creative moving forward, and being more authentic than I already am moving forward. I just like feel so grateful that I'm at a place in my life where I can be all of the things that like young Zach wanted to be, or wished to be, or hoped to be. Because, you know, it wasn't always the case in my life that I had that kind of hope, and I know that a lot of other people are in that same position, and I'm just very grateful. I'm very grateful to be who I am, where I am, and doing what I am now. And a big part of that goes to like the folks out there who do support me, who do watch me, and I appreciate you. And I appreciate you all taking the time to listen to this. And thanks. So I hope all of that made sense. I kind of had been thinking about doing a script for a long time, and then I said no, your best version of you is when you just come and do all of this. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you will stick around, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.